Hey there.
Okay. How was the office meeting?
It was good. It was good. We ended up BSing a lot more of it there at the end. Usually it runs over because we have so much stuff we're trying to like condense into an hour. But right now, because there's like so few things going on, like actually in the office, it's mostly like virtual trainings and stuff like that. There just isn't as much to talk about.
Okay. Was there a lot of people there?
Good number. Good number.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh, it's hit or miss, hit or miss, just if people are available. And then a lot of people who just never come.
Right. No need to
Going on.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, I did call in, and she
Just
was.
so you know, this is being recorded.
Oh, good. Okay. Lynette is going to reach out to some people and see if they need a transaction coordinator. But she was like, just so you know, I'm starting my own business, so I can't endorse you. I'm like, that's okay. I'm like,
Yeah.
understand. So, but I'm glad you're doing an agent financials class. Are you going to talk about the QuickBooks self-employed at all?
Not today. Today we're going to talk about passive income and diversifying your income streams.
Okay.
So that's what we're going to talk about today. Last month we were supposed to do this, and it ended up being at the same time as a Ken Sachs pop-up class. So a lot of people went to that, like understandably. So I just rescheduled it to this month. Okay. So if you have questions though about QuickBooks Self-Employed, I can answer them right now while it's me and you.
Okay. Well, I just started it. I connected one of my bank accounts to it. And then it said that you could do invoices out of it and you could create invoices out of it. So I need to explore that option.
Yeah, I haven't done anything with that, obviously, because my business doesn't require invoices. So I haven't done anything with that.
Okay. And then I was wondering how you upload bills into it. Like, because if it's not coming from your bank account and you wanted the bill in there, like besides just doing the data entry of saying like I paid this bill, like I paid my MLS dues, how do you upload that receipt into there?
There's like a little plus, like a little option to add receipt. As you're looking at it, there is an option to add that in there that way. I just personally connected all my bank accounts that I run debits out of. So anything I run a debit out of, I have connected in there, and then I just sort it, whether it's personal or business.
Okay.
I just make sure.
I had kind of thought about doing just one credit card for, instead of like having my personal mixed in with my business of a credit card, to just, like one credit card for business. Have you done that, or do you do personal and business together?
So I have one card that's just for business. But I haven't switched everything over to it because QuickBooks Self-Employed has made it to where it wasn't as important that I keep them separate, because I also am not operating under an entity. So I can have commingling of funds because I don't have an entity, versus if you're an LLC, you can't have that commingling. So yeah, exactly. So it's fine for me.
Okay. Yeah. Cause I'm just operating under me too. So I'm not doing an LLC for my transaction coordination stuff. So, or with the office, like when I get a deal, it's just me, it's under me. So, and I, like with paying the MLS dues and stuff, I don't have that LLC. So, yeah, I guess that was just and
you probably don't need one yet. I just talked to my CPA this past week, and I talked to a lawyer about forming an entity, and so I was talking to the lawyer and I was talking to the CPA, and they both were like, you're like on the cusp of needing one. Okay. So I may form one, but I'm just not sure yet. So I'm on the cusp. I'm going to dig more deep into it this week. I'll probably pull the trigger on that, but I determined I did not need an LLC for my rental when it's time. they just said it wasn't worth the cost because it's going to eat all your profit margins just to maintain. So it's one of those things that I was kind of going through the paces, and so it may make sense to do a business entity for you, especially because yours is a little bit different being transaction coordination. It may make sense, but usually they have an income threshold where they're like, okay, yeah, now you need to do it. Or if you have payroll taxes or anything like that, like if you're paying payroll and things like that.
Right.
So.
Right. Okay. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm really trying to get into that and keeping my stuff organized. So at the end of the year, I'm not scrambling and freaking out that I don't have all of my documents in order. So I just want to really get them everything loaded in there electronically, so I don't have to worry about the paper anymore. It's just all in there, and move everything into there. So that's I kind of thought you were going to talk about QuickBooks today. I was like, oh
no QuickBooks today. And in fact, if I do start an LLC, I can't use QuickBooks Self-Employed anymore. Yeah, because you need that payroll section, and QuickBooks Self-Employed doesn't have that. So she was like, if you do decide to do an LLC, you're not gonna be able to use this anymore. And I was like, but I want to keep it. Like, but this is what I want.
Already. Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense. I think
I love it because I have the mileage tracker and everything.
Well, that's the thing that I was going to ask you about. So how does it do the mileage tracker? Do you have to download the app onto your phone, or
the QuickBooks Self-Employed app? Yeah.
So you just download that to your phone. Okay. And then do you have to hit a button that says I'm for work?
Nope.
Okay. It just it asks you if you did.
So what'll happen is when you open the app, you'll see a record of all the trips you made in your car, because it uses GPS. It can tell when you're traveling quickly enough that you're in a car. And it uses GPS, and it'll have the beginning address and the ending address, and you'll sort it. Was this business or was this personal? Was this business or was this personal? And if it's business, it'll ask you what type of business travel. Were you meeting a client? Were you going to a training? Were you traveling to a conference? Whatever it may be, you can put that in there.
Okay. And what about past travel that I've already done? Like to showing, like if I went to a showing, can I add that mileage in there now, or is that RM?
I believe you can. I haven't personally done it, but I believe you can add that.
Okay. Let me see if I can kind of get in there and see if
Yeah, and that's why I like the app too, because not only does it have the mileage tracker on it, but when I have some downtime and I'm just watching some TV, that's when I'll sort my transactions.
Yeah.
And so I'll just, so swipe left for business, swipe right for personal. If it's business, you have to categorize it. So it works really well for me because I'm able to just do it on the fly. If I'm sitting at the doctor's office or something like that, I can just work on my taxes.
All right. Now it's not letting me in. Okay.
Well, we'll go ahead and get started because it doesn't look like anybody else is joining us, so this is recorded. So we're going to talk about passive income today and how to create passive income, and not just passive income, but diversifying income streams in general. And some of it will be passive and some of it will not. So we're going to talk through that today. I'm going to be keeping this short and sweet. We will be done by 10:30, if not earlier, and we can go over any of these things more in depth in a private coaching if you need it. Like if you're like, hey, I specifically want to set up this income stream, let's talk about it and we'll work through it. We can meet privately. So we're just going to kind of go over different options and everything today and why it's important. So the average millionaire has 7 streams of income. With these 7 streams of income, it's usually a mixture of active and passive income, which is the 2 different types. And it's really, really important to diversify and have multiple streams of income, because then you insulate yourself from the ebbs and flows of whatever industry you're in. So for example, with us being in real estate, if you only are making money from your real estate transactions, for example, right now, if you only work with buyers in real estate, we don't have a lot of inventory right now. So if you only are working with buyers, you are not very well insulated from the ups and downs of our market, right? So keep that in mind, that it'll help insulate you from that and diversify that and protect you. The more diversified you are, just like with investing, the more protected you are from any ebbs and flows, okay? Then you need to make sure you know, sorry, my phone is, I'm going to turn off my little ringer here. Make sure you know the difference between your active and passive income. Passive income is ideal because it's your army of dollar bills working for you all of the time, right? Or past action working hard for you, right? Active income is anything that, you know, you actively have to maintain on a regular basis. Keep in mind, even passive income usually needs some sort of prodding, even if it's like once a month or once a week. It usually needs some sort of check-in. There's very few things that are truly passive, but so when we talk about passive income, we're talking, for the most part, you're not working to maintain that business.
Right.
There are different streams of income, and we're just going to go over some different ideas to diversify. So just to give you like inspiration of ways to diversify and have your income coming from multiple sources. You never want just one, and you want to be working on, you want to ideally get it up towards that like 7 if you can. So your primary job or career, for most of us, that's buying and selling real estate, right? It's our primary job, our primary career. Then you can earn money from a secondary business. You can do dog walking, you can do Lyft, Uber, you can do photography on the weekends, you can do marketing for people in real estate, transaction coordination. You know, you can start a secondary business that is something that you are able to do as like a side hustle, work around your schedule kind of thing. It's a really good thing to do. A lot of people have side hustles. So for example, for me, my primary job and career is buying and selling real estate, and my secondary business is coaching, right? But they're both very active. I have to spend a lot of time maintaining them, working within them. They are not the kind of thing I can walk away from and expect to still function at the same level, right? Next, we have investing in real estate. There are a lot of different ways to invest in real estate. Some of them are more passive than others. So you can simply just buy, right? So buying real estate as your primary residence, while you may not think of that as investing, it is investing. Every month when you pay your mortgage, any portion of that principal is going into equity in your home. Plus your home is hopefully appreciating, right? So you are investing every single month in that home. So it is investing, and it is a much more passive way of investing. And it's not to be overlooked. A lot of people overlook just buying your primary residence as a form of investing, but it's the #1 indicator of future wealth is if you own your home. And there is a lot to be said for peace of mind and having a place to live and having a home base. There are benefits to it other than just the financial benefits to home ownership. Next is hold real estate investments. Hold real estate investments is you are buying a rental to hold for the long term, right? You are thinking 10 plus years out that you're planning on buying and holding that investment as a rental. You are not hoping on rapid appreciation over the course of a year, nothing like that. You are hoping on long-term appreciation and long-term cash flow of that property. So I know I have rental property, Tiana has rental property. It's a good thing to have, and it's a good thing for us in real estate because we typically have a good idea of what's a good deal, or, you know, where's a good area that people would want to live and things like that. It's a good one for us to invest in. This is investing in any real estate is usually a good transition for most real estate agents. Next is flipping. Flipping is much more active as far as real estate, right? We have someone in our office right now who's doing a flip, and he's working a lot of hours on it because he's doing a lot of the work himself. So he's spending a lot of hours. You can hire some of it out, but you have to keep in mind anytime you're doing a flip, your profit margins, you have to keep all of your profit margins, your holding costs and everything in line. We have a really good book available at the office. It's called Flip, that can guide you through how to analyze the numbers and everything on a flip. Flips are one of those things that it can be riskier. It's much more active, and it can be riskier because if something goes wrong, your holding costs can cause your costs to go out of control very quickly. So keep that in mind. It can be really, really good for people who do it at a high level though. But most people who flip professionally on a regular basis, they recommend doing it so consistently so that if you don't have such good profit margins on your next deal, it evens out over the course of a year. If you do one a month, it usually evens out over the course of the year. Or you only flip properties that are such a good deal. You do like one a year, you work really hard on it once a year, you get it done, and then you wait until the next really great deal comes up, and that might be years. So there's two different mindsets as far as that goes. I know for myself, I would love to flip a house someday. I would love to do that. It would be fun, but I would only do it if I was paying for it with cash and I didn't have to worry so much about holding costs, and I was just doing it more for fun than like to actually intentionally make an ROI and a profit. So the next one is wholesaling. Wholesaling, many people make wholesaling their entire career. There are people who build entire businesses, entire active businesses around wholesaling. And there are people who work on wholesaling 5 hours a week, and they make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And they just work on it like 5 to 10 hours a week because it can be very, very profitable. But wholesaling is something you have to do it just the right way. You really need to know the laws in your city, country, and state. And you really need to operate within those parameters because wholesaling can be very risky if you're doing anything inappropriate. And you may not even be aware of it because there are so few wholesale sellers, and you may be learning from someone. I'm in a lot of investing groups online, and there are a lot of people who are learning from people in other states, but they don't think about what's appropriate for them locally. And they get into trouble with that because they go, oh, I'm gonna do what this guy does, right? And then they go to do it themselves, and they realize that, oh crap, that's not actually legal where I'm at. Does everybody know what wholesaling is? Okay, so wholesaling is when most of the time you're sending out mailers or you're driving for dollars and you're finding distressed or abandoned properties, and you're sending mailers or knocking on their door and getting a hold of the owners in some fashion. Most people do direct mail, or they'll have call centers. So they'll do direct mail, they'll find a way to get a hold of this person. And basically what they'll do is they'll analyze the numbers of what it would go for completely renovated. They see what it's actually worth now in the condition it is. And then they undercut that even more because these are distressed sellers typically. They undercut that and they justify it by saying, hey, like holding costs, renovation, time, so they justify it, but they undercut even what it's worth now typically because they know how hard it will be to sell. And they offer that price to the owner. And when they write that contract, they say Corie Burke and/or signs. And then what they do is they get that deal under contract and they take it to their investors, their group and their network of investors and people looking for deals, and they find someone to assign the contract to. So what happens is they get the difference on that. They sell the contract for a price and they get the difference, and that's how they make their money. So it can be very, very lucrative, and it's good for some people, but it's one of those things you have to really get to know intimately your rules and everything where you live, what's okay, what's not okay, but it can be very lucrative. So keep in mind, it can be a really good business model. There is so Cassie Smith over in Tri-Cities, that's how she got her startup money for her real estate investing hold business. Is she started wholesaling just like 5 hours a week outside of her normal 40-hour a week real estate job. She started wholesaling just like 5 hours a week. And that's how she got her startup capital to buy for their first rental. Was they were wholesaling for like 5 hours a week here and there. And they were doing like one deal a month, which wholesaling, if you're only doing one deal a month, you're making like $5,000, right? So not like doing your full real estate deal or anything most of the time, but it was enough to get them excited because they're like, oh my gosh, I spent so few hours on this and I'm making this kind of money. That's how they got their capital for their other business. So it can be very lucrative. Investing for retirement. A lot of people overlook this as an income source, but it's a very passive income source, right? You're investing in your Roth IRA, your SEP IRA, anything like that. You are going to earn passive income depending on what you're invested in. within that portfolio, right? Sometimes you'll have dividends, sometimes it's just appreciation, whatever it may be, but you should be earning passive income in there. That's why, you know, we talk about compound interest. It's why we need to invest more now while we're young, because by the time that we're older, that compound interest works for us. It's an army of dollar bills that's constantly working for us and increasing that money. Does there anybody know the maximum amount you can contribute to a Roth IRA per year? I think Tiana might know. I think she's going to unmute herself.
No, I don't know exactly. My tax accountant tells me every time, but is it a certain percentage or is it a certain amount?
Certain amount.
Okay. Is it 7,500 for
6,000 per year for a Roth IRA? 6,000 per year for a Roth IRA that you can contribute, but that's for each spouse. So if you have a partner, they can contribute, because remember, IRA is an individual retirement account. You cannot have two people on it. So each person can contribute $6,000 to their individual retirement account on the year. Okay. For example, I have Roth IRA. My husband has a Roth IRA. We are looking into, I've heard a lot of people talking about SEP IRAs lately as a really, really good idea for you if you are self-employed, as a way to, you know, leverage, you know, tax deferred income. So I'm looking at that as well. There's some really, really good options. The difference between a Roth IRA versus an IRA is obviously Roth IRA, you're paying the taxes on it now because you're figuring for inflation. So you pay the taxes on it now, and then your income, whatever you invest, grows tax-free. And when you take the money out later, you do not have to pay taxes on it when you take it out later. IRA is the opposite, where you put it in tax deferred and you do not pay taxes on that income, and you pay taxes on it when you go to take it out. So you want to look at how much money you plan on making in retirement, what your income is going to look like in retirement, because if your tax brackets are going to be vastly different, one may be better for you than the other. So just talk to your person and make sure you're choosing the right one for your specific situation. Next is a really good one for realtors that can be really good, which is building a real estate team. It can really give you leverage in the beginning, right? As you start building a team, you just maybe have an assistant, a buyer's agent. It can just really give you leverage where you're not working 80 hours a week just to keep the income coming in. Maybe you can just free up some more of your time to go after specifically listings, those kinds of things. But as your team grows bigger, it really can become passive, because as you get to a big enough state, you can even go to the point where you don't really operate within the business anymore. You look at Denny Grimes, you look at Logan Group, you know, they don't go on appointments. They don't actively buy and sell real estate anymore. They just own the team, and they're just figureheads on the team, and they sit back and collect money. They do other things, right? You know, these are very active people, but they're not active in their real estate business anymore, and they're just sitting back and collecting money. So that is something that you can do. Another option is to sell your book of business when you're going to retire. So you build a good enough team, or maybe even if you're an individual agent, you build a good enough book of business that's very profitable with good processes. You could even get that valued and sell that when it's time for you to retire. So that's a way. It's something for you to think of now, even though most of us that are on this call are really far away from that. If we do a good enough job keeping it organized, keeping it well processed, that can be worth so much more money than we realize. Tiana, with your having your transaction coordination business, that's very scalable too. You know, if you get to the point where you can't handle any more transactions, it's a matter of maybe I hire a virtual assistant to do this part of it, right? Maybe I do this. You know, there's other ways to leverage yourself. Like for me with coaching, I can scale it. There are $1 million productivity coaches in Keller Williams because they create coaching teams. So they're a lead coach, and then they hire a new agent coach, a mid-60 coach, and do this, and they grow that team bigger, and they end up with real estate coaching teams. So whatever your business looks like, you can actually scale that and think about how you can make that more passive and more leveraged for you. Next is a referral machine. This one's obviously for realtors. This isn't necessarily for anyone else. But if you are someone who knows people in a lot of different areas, or you have connections in other areas, it's a good idea to set up a specific part of your business plan to be a referral machine. So I made more money in referrals last month than I actually did in my like 2 or 3 closings. just because like I make sure people know I'm in real estate, and I make sure to market to those people that are in the other areas. And it's really nice because it's almost completely passive, especially if I already have realtors in those areas, because I don't have to interview realtors every time because I have my go-to people. And if I pick up a new area, I'll have to interview realtors. But usually I already know who I'm going to choose. And my people say, hey, who should I go to? I set them up. I collect a referral fee. I had a $500,000 closing on a referral last month, made almost $3,500. And I didn't do anything because I already knew the realtor I was going to send them to. I already knew the realtor. And so it was very, very easy. He's one of my very best friends. I used to live with him in college. And there's no reason that you can't set that up as a passive income. Now, I'm not saying that you should be thinking about like every single month, I'm going to make $4,000 every month from referral. Like that's not where it has to start or even where it has to end. But you do need to think about reality when you make your business plan. So when I made my business plan for the year, I specifically looked at how many referrals do I want to close this year? And I said 2, and I met 2. So I met my goal for the year. It was a part of my business plan. It's passive income. And it may not seem like a lot. I think it ended up being like $7,000 or something like that altogether. So it may not seem like a lot, but when you look at the overall year, that's a good percentage of my income on the year. You know, it's 2 or 3% of my income at the end of the year, which isn't bad. It's still diversifying me where I don't have to work for that money. So even if it's small, it's a good thing to have. I need to hurry up. You can invest in a market center, right? So if you are someone who is going to stay in real estate a long time, or you know you're gonna bow out at some point or whatever, you can invest in a market center and you can make passive income that way. So it's a really, really good way to help make profits, especially when you have a profitable market center like our market center. You can also invest in the stock market. Mutual funds, stocks, bonds, index funds. Index funds are a type of mutual fund. So personally, for me, I invest in index funds because they're incredibly passive, very, very low risk comparatively, but make good money. I think I invested $75 in the last year into my funds, and I'm at $105 portfolio. And that's just like minimal investing because I was paying off debt, so I wasn't doing a lot. So I only invested, I think, $75 in the whole year in the stock market because I was paying off my car. But I still wanted to do something, but still going from $75 to $105, that's great. I was very, very happy with that. Profit share is another one. If it's something that you want to pursue, make sure it's in your business plan and make sure you have a plan for it. When we're not in a pandemic, I make sure to do at least one recruiting or networking event a week because I'm in several networking groups and I'm involved in several things in the community. I make sure to do that. I talk about real estate, see if anybody's interested in real estate. If they are, I invite them to come to career nights or trainings and things like that. It's a really great way to earn a lot of money. We just had, we added 2 people last month to the millionaire profit share tree. There is now 90 people in Keller Williams who've earned $1 million in profit share, over $1 million in profit share. So, and there's people in our company who are making hundreds, tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in profit share. It's insane. Now, you may not ever get to that point, right? A lot of those people have been with the company longer, or they have really big teams, big influences. That might not be what your path is. You may not choose that as your path. But what about an extra $1,200 a month that just shows up in your mailbox? Like that still makes a huge impact. That's almost a full-time income when we were 18 years old. So, so that can make a big difference. So if you're just looking at like, hey, I just want to get like 5 or 6 people in my downline over the next, 5-6 years, that's 1 person a year. To get 1 person a year, I probably need to do this. And just set it in your business plan, set some goals for it and have it and work on that. I got 3 minutes. Content creation. You can do a teaching course, a YouTube, or Instagram. These can be very, very profitable, actually. If you are looking at it, if you are an expert in anything, you can create a course online and you can create lessons within that course and everything. There's a lot of startup time available for it. It takes some work to start it up, but you can sell it after the fact. So if you're really good at some part of your real estate business or one specific skill in real estate, or even something else, even if it's like cooking or meal prepping or whatever it may be. If you're really good at something, crocheting, it doesn't matter. If you're really good at something, create a course and sell it online. And once you create the course, you can sell it for years and years and years. You never have to create it again. And it's a great way to bring in passive income. YouTube and Instagram are other ways to do that. YouTube, you can get AdSense money, same thing with Instagram. So that's not even going after like business deals, but just normal AdSense money. It can't really add up if you get a lot. Teaching in seminars is really good. If you do teach anything or you're an expert in anything, it's a good idea to make sure people know you're an expert in it and people know that you enjoy teaching it, because they may be willing to pay you to come and teach about it, especially if you're looking at like the high schools and stuff like that. I've gotten paid to come in and teach communications just on like a per diem basis. I've went in and taught debate, I've taught theater, and I've taught personal finance, where they just come in and they'll pay me like a per diem, nothing crazy, to go in and teach or be a speaker at one of these things. And it's a good way to earn some money. And it's also interesting and fun. I like to teach, I like to give back, so it makes sense. So for me personally, like setting up my income, because I think you should each do this for yourself. I have investing income. Again, not a lot. I'm not investing on a great scale right now, because right now I'm saving to buy the duplex, triplex, or fourplex too. I have retirement investing income. I have my primary income. We have my husband's primary income. We have my coaching business. Real estate investing, we're selling one investment property and buying another one now. Profit share is one I'm working on that I haven't really got going yet, but I'm actively working on it. And my referral machine is something that like I've gotten a little bit of traction, got a few deals out of it, but I would like to try to increase that to where it's a little more consistent. If I could get like 3 or 4 referrals a year that are a decent size, that would make a big impact in my finances. So those are ones that I'm working on, just to give you guys some ideas. And I have to leave in like literally 2 seconds. So tell me one stream of income you're going to work on.
Referral business.
Whoop, whoop.
I want to give referrals, yeah.
What'd she say?
Same here.
Okay, awesome. Well, have a great day, guys. If you guys want to talk about this anymore on a personal level, please let me know. I gotta go. My day is crazy. I'll talk to you guys later, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Bye.